Oh yes, fellow Camerounese, you're welcome. Greetings to you all. Fellow Camerounese and Camerounese, not even Cameroonian itself. When a good morning, when a good afternoon, when a good evening. Most people, they don't say, make I give my take as to what is happening with this particular elections of neighboring Cameroon. My take is always very succinct. My points of views are always very clear, articulate, and also my recommendations as to the path or the way forward are always very clear. You all know that I've always been a public speaker. That means I like speaking and using social media to advocate for political reforms, to advocate for democratic processes, and to advocate for change. You all know me from the days of journalism till the present day of activism. You all know me and you know my stance. To begin with, I stand for a one and united Ambazonia. To begin with, I stand for peace, prosperity, and unity for the Ambazonia people. To begin with, I also stand for peace, prosperity, and unity for our neighboring Cameroonians or Cameroonese. Elections have taken place. Elections have taken place clearly. Issa Bakary has won the elections of neighboring Cameroon. Everyone knows it. It's a public fact. It's not even something which is hidden. Everyone knows Issa Bakary has won massively across all the regions, across all the states. Issa Bakary has massively won. For that is a fact. Forgive me because I'm driving, so it may be blurry because I've not wiped my screen, but just listen to the message. Issa Bakary has won massively across every region I know, even including neighboring Ambazonia. Issa Bakary has won. I would say congratulations to him. I rightly predicted it. Most people did predict his victory, and he has won on ballot. That means on paper. But now it becomes a little bit tricky to translate that into action, actionable insights. He hasn't actually had any upper hand with the rigging machinery. The Biya administration, I am speaking in English, only in English, because I want this message to go further afield. The Biya administration itself is very good at rigging every electoral processes. And that is why I have always given victory to Biya for anything that concerns election. Anything that concerns election, Biya will always win. At the end of the day, it is the end that determines or decides or that predicts the means and not the means to an end itself. Biya will win and will declare himself winner. But Issa Bakary has won on ballot. This is a dichotomy. This is a dilemma here. And it's strange because we are not in any democracy. Cameroon itself is not a democracy. Get this for sure a fact. Democracy exists only in the Western world. If at all it does exist, that's another debate for another day. But Cameroon itself is not a democracy. So election is only a charade. Election is only there to pacify the masses, to continue giving all the interests of the people back to the Western world. Elections only happen just because it's a process, but yet the end process keeps the regime in power. The Western media has clearly favored Paul Biya Bartholomew Bimvondo. I have read a couple of headlines from Reuters news agency, from Agence France Presse, from a couple of all of these Western media. They have one narrative. Biya is leading and Biya is the potential winner. That is what the Western media is saying. Now, this tells you that they don't support in any way Issa Bakary. In fact, Issa was not on the ballot. The person who was on the ballot was Kanto. So Issa took them by storm. And according to the Western Democrats, the devil they know, Paul Biya, is better than the devil they don't know. And that person is Issa Bakary. Now, with these two devils, the West will prefer to be with Paul Biya, whom they know, and they know so well, to always protecting their interest. They don't know Issa Bakary. Issa Bakary is only and was only a communications minister. They always know him through Paul Biya, and Biya has always protected the Western interest. So they will deal with Paul Biya, although he's advanced in age. But it's a little bit tricky here because Paul Biya Bartholomew Bienvenue, if you replace that name with Robert Mugabe, the West will want him out. But interestingly, this man who is older than Mugabe and running to turn at least 105 years in power in the next 7 years, the West still wants him in. Because the West clearly want their own interest. The West clearly want to secure their own interest and not your own interest and not the interest of all Cameroonians or all Cameroonese. Now, let me tell you exactly how it will pan out. It is a little bit very stupid and ludicrous for any Francophone blogger to be posting right now about ballots on blackboards. Oh, this Issa Bakary had this. We all know this. It is not supposed to be posted in any way, shape, and form. Chiruma has won massively. Change your strategy. I am giving this to all bloggers. Whoever is called a journalist, drop off your journalism cloak. This is all about protecting the interests of the people. As a journalist, you must not be a bystander when you have a victim and you have a perpetrator. Paul Biya has been in power for more than, I would say, nearly half a century. You cannot claim to be a journalist at this point, hoping that you're balancing the news, when you clearly know it is a fact that Issa Bakary has won. Drop off your journalism cloak. Boris Bertot, Mimi Mefo, Zuimanto Yesepsep, and all of those, anglophone. I'm not including myself in it because I'm for Ambazonia. You already know my stance. Drop off your journalism cloak, band together, bandwagon together, come together, and start intensive mobilization and advocacy. This is exactly what Francophones should be doing at this moment. You need to stop this, your so-called journalism for balance, accuracy, and all the tenets of journalism. You need to drop this off. It is not working. It will not work. I speak as someone who has fought the same enemy called Paul Biya Bartholomew Bienvenue. I speak as someone who is currently being tried in military tribunal in Cameroon for acts against patriotism, or whatever it's called, for civil war, for secession, and for terrorism. So I am speaking as someone who is an arch enemy to Paul Biya Bartholomew Bienvenue. And I will give you the same strategies that hurt this enemy. 1. Intensify media campaigns on the social media. You bloggers, wanna come together. All of you should come together and protect the interest of the masses, the suffering masses. Forget about posting on, he said that, he further said that, he alleged that, this one said that, to add this. Forget about all that noise. This is now called advocacy for change. And advocacy for change must start with your personal example. I repeat, advocacy for change must start with your personal example. Gone past are the days when you are talking of, oh, Chiruma said that, he said that. Protect the Chiruma who is currently a politician. The Chiruma himself, whom I know is not being arrested and probably hiding somewhere and understands English, must take these points into consideration. Number 1, you are not an opposition leader. You are a freedom fighter. If you call yourself an opposition leader, it means you are giving victory to Paul Biya and you are making the masses continuously being slaves under the slave master. Number 2, Immediately dedicate. Immediately announce who would be your successor if anything happens to you. I suggest Bala Felix should be the successor of Issa Bakary. This is how you think as a freedom fighter and not as a politician. Issa Bakary, if you're listening to me, number one, dedicate and publicly announce who would be your successor. If you have not done so and you're afraid to do so in public, do it silently. I will suggest Bala Felix. Number two, Issa Bakary, you need to immediately call on all anglophones. Let me use the word anglophones. You know whom I'm referring to. Call on all anglophones to rally behind you. I've not said call on them publicly. I have said call on them privately to rally behind you. They can easily come together and cook up something for you to give you backup. You need to call on anglophones because the way this is turning around, as I had rightly predicted, you will keep on being used and dumped by the same stupid francophones. Francophones have no known history of riots, of whatever protest. They are always known for being so feeble and failed and quiet, and this is exactly what is happening 24 hours after the elections that gave you victory. You need to protect those votes in every shape and form. Biya himself is extremely very weak. You should give the signal to the military that the people will rise up against the military in peaceful ways. I'm not calling for any form of violence. I am saying we would rise up. You, the people, the Camerounese, should rise up peacefully against the regime that steals your vote. That is exactly what I am passing around. You need to make this happen. Boycotts, civil disobedience, and ghost towns will be your strategy going forward. You need to boycott every concert rolled out by Atanga Ponji, Paul Tasson, and all the Pauls, Paul Biya. Boycott everything because your continuous participation in what they are doing right now without the release of the electoral result would only be an enablement or would only be a fostering of what they have cooked in place as a rigging to be successful. You need to avoid anything Cameroon is doing to you. When the same musicians are coming in or international soccer friendlies are to be played, boycott. That is how you pass the message, and you're mobilizing the people towards awaiting whatever they would announce as a result. If you are passive, they are active. You are clearly giving Biya what he needs as a weapon against you. Your silence is being used as a weapon against you. All these Francophone bloggers, I would strongly advise and I would strongly tell you this. Avoid in any way, posting in any way through write-ups. If possible, do Facebook Lives. The ordinary Francophones, the ordinary Cameroonian, the ordinary Ambazonian, the ordinary African hates to read. When you speak, it carries more, if not tens of thousands of actions, even more than your basic or your bare write-ups. Your messages will be downloaded and shared further afield. Francophones must get into active Facebook Lives. Issa Bakary's Facebook pages have been deactivated. So technically, what was his communication strategy? He has a very weak communication strategy. At the time Bala Agbo was arrested with Fontem Neva, Tapang Ivo and Mark took over through Facebook. Now, who is taking over? With the imminent disappearance of Issa Bakary? Nobody. So you are a communications minister, but you lack the basic strategies of organizational communications. It's a question. You need to immediately announce that the people should flock towards a particular Facebook page. That is exactly what should be done. That is exactly what should be activated. Facebook will naturally side with Paul Biya because the Western media favors Paul Biya. They would order for Issa Bakary's pages to be blocked and deactivated. So you need to hydrate. You need to be like a hydra. Pop up from left to right with pages that people can follow, while bloggers keep the momentum afloat. If you fail to do so, you fail the Issa Bakary himself. This message is for our neighbors. You clearly know where I stand. I repeat, you clearly know where I stand. I will give the victory to Paul Biya Bartholomew Bimbondo any day, anytime, because I don't see anything happening that Francophones are pushing towards changing this regime. For that reason, pragmatically, academically, realistically, ideally, Paul Biya wins the day. But you need to change this. Without those actions being taken, you have given the victory to Paul Biya Bartholomew Bimbondo, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can do nothing about it. But you can do something right now to change this game. Again, delay is extremely dangerous, and the more you delay on this, the better Issa Bakary picks up on this and destroys you completely. Or rather, Atanganji picks up on this and destroys you completely. This is exactly what I'm saying. The elections will be announced, or the results will be announced in the next, give or take 1 to 2 months from now. I'm just being honest. You all will come back to me and say, oh no, Tapang, you were right. Tapang, you were right. You were right. Of course, because you're filled with emotions. Your brain is loaded with emotions. Your sensory nerves are pregnant with emotions. And you cannot see exactly what I tell you in every facet of this revolution, of this struggle, or of these elections. This is exactly what you should do. Now, the only way out is going out. Don't allow delay to fill in the cracks. They will delay you in every shape and form. The result will be announced in the next 1 to 2 months from now. They are rolling out what we call revolutionary struggle, or even electoral fatigue. When you're waiting for the election results, it's not forthcoming. The regime in power is moving as if nothing is happening, while pleasing the masses through the lowering of prices of bread, sugar, sardine, petrol, beer, and also launching massive recruitment into the public service. And these are strategies that will be happening in your own very before. In your own very eyes. These are strategies that will be happening to pacify the masses. You want to fall for this? Good luck. Francophones, you need to stop this vicious circle once and for all. If you don't, in the next 2 to 3 years from now, in the next 7 years from now, you'll be hoping that a new candidate comes up, and you'll be hoping that there will be a change, and this same scenario will happen again and again. Now, let me tell you this. Everything you're seeing right now happened 7 years ago with Maurice Kamto. He clearly won the elections. And this is exactly what Atanganji will do and his boys. Bribe a few politicians, a few opposition candidates, and a few influencers to openly admit that they did win the elections themselves and not Issa Bakary. When you set that commotion, when you set that cacophony, when you set that confusion among this flock of sheep, what is the message you're passing across? You're trying to dissolve the powers of Issa Bakary. And this is clearly what is happening. You've seen Bello Buba Maigari. You've seen a couple of those stooges clearly declaring that they themselves won the elections. But no one is arresting them. Why? No one is arresting Bello Buba Maigari. No one is touching on Cabral Libi. Nobody. They are declaring even the positions they've had. Cabral said he comes on the 3rd position. Bello Buba says he comes on the 1st position. So who actually is the 2nd? And who is the 4th? These people are clearly bought and paid for by the regime in power, protected by the regime in power, to dissolve the power of Issa Bakary. And it's happening in your own very eyes. And now this is exactly what will be panning out to completely destroy anything dealing with Bakary. You Francophones, if you claim Bakary is the winner of these elections by a mammoth victory, by a gargantuan victory, by a yawning victory, then fight for your leader. Fight to protect your leader. Your leader is nowhere to be found, and I don't see any Francophone making any live video asking the right questions. I don't see the people on the streets protesting and demanding the whereabouts of the leader. The leader should be ashamed. Bakary should be rolling wherever he is on his bed, in pains and in tears, that the people whom he thought could cast ballots in his favor are not the same people who could march on the streets and demand the government for accountability, or ask the right questions to demand the right answers. And this is very callous of all of you Francophones. I will not picture a day when Agbo Bala was arrested and I sat silent, or the Anglophones sat silent, or the day Tasang Wilfred was being hidden and me, Tapang Ivotanku, was protecting and hiding this man, lying that he was hiding in a Western embassy. I can't picture a day when Anglophones, a single leader of any Anglophone was being arrested and Anglophones stayed silent. No! It's not in our DNA and history, and it's not happening in Anglophone regions. But for Francophones, it's extremely normal. No, Chiruma has not been arrested. He's just in the house. He's the one, he's hiding. And you are okay with it. You need to capitalize and capitulate on this, to be on the streets in peaceful protest, to demand questions as to why your opposition candidate, through a democratic process like election, is nowhere to be found. If you're not asking these questions, you're enabling the same regime in power to do the same thing they've been doing over the years and over the century, more than half a century, on your own people. You don't get it. You don't really get it. And the Francophones, especially those bloggers, you have a hand in this pot of soup. You need to sit up. You need to stop all these useless postings about, oh, Bakary has won. We have gone past the winning of Bakary. Tell me something new. Tell me something exciting. Tell me that you have formed a consortium of all Francophone and Anglophone bloggers to speak the same message of peaceful boycotts, peaceful ghost towns, peaceful civil disobedience, until your leader's known, or your whereabouts of your leader is known. You need to engage in this. Failure to do so is giving Biya a complete victory. And guess what? By the time the election results will be announced in the next 1 month from now, I predict, if not 2 months from now, I predict, you will all be tired of even waiting for it. And you will all be concerned about whether you want to go join the military through public service recruitment, or join the Cameroon public service, as they would rightly do through a massive recruitment campaign in the days ahead. Francophones, rise up. My message is for you. My message is not for the people of Ambazonia. Bakary, you have the numbers of literally everybody, every leader of Ambazonia. Do we sympathize with you? What is the connection between Ambazonia and neighboring Cameroon? Democracy. We will sympathize with you on democratic processes, but we will not shed our blood for you in any way, shape, and form, especially when we've not seen anything that will stand to benefit in all this electoral charade. My name is Professor Tapanga Ibotanko. Do have a wonderful day. Sorry I made this message while driving, and I wish you all the best. I hope this message goes to whom it may concern. Bye-bye.